Hi everyone, it's Carolyn. I'm here to share another message regarding ascension and awakening and where we're at in these times. So first of all, thank you so much for joining me. I'm Carolyn, I'm a channel, I'm a distance energy healer, and I'm a spiritual awakening mentor. And I offer these channels for your ascension and awakening journey. And I have not been here for 2 weeks. I have literally had my own mini, not even mini, Mercury retrograde. I'm not kidding you. So I apologize for not being here, but for 2 weeks I have had the most massive technology issues you can imagine, from my modem dying to my laptop crashing. Yes, really. So I have a new laptop I'm doing my first video on. Anyway, there's been a lot going on in these last 2 weeks since I did the fall equinox video. So I'm going to talk a little bit about where we're at with some of the energies that have come in since the fall equinox. But that's not the point of this video. What I'm going to be doing is then segueing into going back, talking about flowing down the stream of our life journey and those milestones. And what we're going to talk about today is how we can ambush our own journey down that stream of our incarnation, and as we hit those certain milestones. So if you haven't watched that video that I've already done, I talk a lot about the stream of life and how we are to be the leaf on the stream flowing down. You might want to go back to that one as well so you can get a sense of that. It's one of the last few videos, plus I talk about it in the fall equinox as well. So I want to start out by talking a bit about what we said in the fall equinox about wrapping it up. That has become very apparent to me in my last 2 weeks journey. And I think you're going to be able to relate to this if you can look deeply at what's going on in your life journey. And that's what the spiritual awakening ascension journey is all about, really discovering who we are and then looking at patterns, looking at themes, looking at things that we do to ourselves as well as things we have for lessons in this life journey. And those become apparent to us as we move through the awakening journey. So as you may recall, in the Equinox channel, we talked about the dark tunnel that the collective is going through. That can mean many things, but it also means we don't really see or know what is occurring necessarily. We don't understand what is occurring. It's the dark tunnel. Things just are showing up, right? In the dark tunnel. So we're in that long dark tunnel, but those of us as the light workers are, as they showed us, are moving above that. That doesn't mean though that we don't have things we're going through, right? We're just more aware. We're more consciously aware. All right. So the dark tunnel is kind of that asleep part, and things are happening as we've certainly seen in the last couple weeks, right? Oh my gosh, we could talk a whole video about all the things that have shifted and changed, right? And these surprises that are coming out of nowhere. Needless to say, the things that we're going to talk about today are the personal thing during this time of the next 3 months. So right now, what I am finding is, and I'm finding this with other people, is these life lessons, these things that we've known that we are working on, now they're in your face, okay? It's a wrap it up. You've been continuing to work on it. You've had lessons coming your way. You've had situations. You've had people come your way that are challenging you in your life lessons. But now it's almost like, okay, this is the final time for many of us. Get it figured out. Get it figured out. Now, that's not the case necessarily for everyone, but I will tell you it's for a lot of us that have been going through this journey. So everybody listening to this, there is something here for you, because remember, it's wave upon wave upon wave of light workers. We go through a process in the awakening ascension journey. You're going to go through this too, okay? If you're seeing your life lessons and you understand that, oh my gosh, like for me, patience. Massive, massive life lesson for me. Flow and trust. All right. So that patience has to do with allowing the flow, allowing the trust to be built in, and then that creates the patience. So I have a massive life lesson. It was brought to me literally during the first month of after my dark night of the soul. And it came in spades, because typically I have always tried to force my way through things, make things happen. You know how we do that in the human world. Well, I don't do that anymore. At least I don't think I do, right? Well, I've had some new changes in my life come up in the last, I would say, month, where, oh, now I really have to look at myself and say, where am I at in this patient's journey? Well, I have learned I'm doing really, really well, but I still have triggers. And so consequently, what's happening is it's in my face now. How are you going to deal with it, Carolyn? How are you going to deal with it, Carolyn? And boom, boom, boom. So here's what's happened to me. I've had the computer issue. I've had my knee flare up again. I think I mentioned that at one point in a big way. Oh my gosh. Patience, patience. Everything's patience. Don't rush around. Don't hurry. Don't try to make things happen. Don't force. And then people have come into my life too where I've had to look at myself and go, okay, that could be a trigger, but it's not. And it shows me how much I've grown. So I feel really good about that. But there are other pieces of this where I realize, oh, okay, that's an area within the entire life lesson of patience that still is poking at me. So what I would say to you is take a look at what is going on right now for you. Are you being like poked and prodded at and lots of weird things are happening out of nowhere? They're not just happening for no reason. Spend some time with them and try to understand how they fit into your life journey and what they're trying to tell you. So for many of us who understand at least one or two of our major life lessons, you're going to probably be poked at because what's happening now is we are being tasked with, oh, they just said upping your game. Okay, that makes sense. Okay. Whew, excuse me. So that's in order to move into 2021 energy. Oh, I have chills. I have a lot of chills. Okay. So again, you can't force this. Don't force this, but spend time with yourself. Remember, the ascension and spiritual awakening journey are all about us discovering who we are, not stuffing things down any longer, dealing with what's in front of us and knowing our triggers and understanding why do I behave that way. We all have this happen, but we just in our human world have never been told to go inward and spend most of our time there. Everything has been externalized. So these last 3 months, this is going to happen in spades to you, is my estimation, because I'm seeing it in others. I'm most assuredly seeing it in myself. I have never been tested like this in my major life lesson of patience and flow. So today, now I'm going to move into talking about the bigger picture of how we ambush ourselves along this awakening journey and ascension journey. Remember how I talked about the milestones along the flow of the stream? They're there for us, okay? And I'm not going to go through all that again because that's in the other video that I just mentioned. But what I want to talk about today is some ways that we can actually ambush ourselves or our own worst enemy. And we tend to blame it on other people or situations or why do those things happen to me? Well, guess what? It's actually us ambushing us from the sides of the stream as we go down our life journey. So the setup for this, assume you're a leaf on a stream, or if you want to be in a rowboat, that's fine too. That's actually a better metaphor for this because as you're flowing down the stream, this beautiful smooth stream that's set out for you, doesn't mean you're not going to have situations where you're learning and it's struggle, and that's how we learn, and that's it's painful. However, the stream is there for us, okay? Flowing. The milestones are on each side of the stream, but it's what we do and how we paddle that rowboat, and when we encounter or start seeing milestones coming up, which are things in our life that are meant for us, that are set out there before our incarnation, that we are then to encounter. But what do we do with it? So oftentimes we ambush ourselves. So I'm going to talk about, I think it's 5 things. I don't know. We'll see. So first of all, one of the first things we can do is we're going down that stream and we see and particularly encounter a milestone. And then we have the experience either in a relationship or a big situation that comes up, you know, these big things in our life, milestones, all right? And it doesn't always have to be big milestones. Keep that in mind. There are little milestones along the way to the larger milestone because that's how we learn. So the point in this one is what we can do to ourselves so often is say, what did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? Now, here's the thing. The scenario might not have played out wrong. It might have played out beautifully. But what do you do to yourself? You turn it inward and you go, wait, was it not? Especially if you're a perfectionist, okay? You'll do this thing of run through the whole scenario again in your head of what happened, and then you'll pick the one thing that might not be perfect. And what do? You turn it on yourself and you go, oh my gosh, I should have done that differently. Okay, they're probably thinking this. Or I could have had a different outcome if this. You name 1,000 circumstances, right? It's the same pattern we get ourselves in. We turn it inward on ourselves and we get too picky about what just happened, when in reality, most times, it's not even a thing in that scenario. So what we do is we turn it around and we say, what did I do wrong? I could have done that differently. Oh my gosh. Now, there's something valuable at times about looking at what we can do differently. But when it becomes an obsession and becomes a major pattern in your life and starts holding you back, this is when you've really got to start looking at, why do I do this? All right, we'll talk about those things later. But one of the big things is we turn it around on ourselves and we say, what did I do wrong? Even if the outcome was beautiful in many ways. What is that about us that makes us look at ourselves and pick ourselves apart? So think about did I do something wrong? What that does, okay, they're showing me, okay, they're saying it actually flips around something positive that very likely happened to you, potentially, right? And you took the one thing, then you turned it around and okay, they're showing something getting turned inside out. Okay, now they're showing like two socks. You know how you like put socks together and you turn one sock in to keep the other sock inside? So what they're showing is like we turn ourselves inside out, right? We turn ourselves inside out. And now all we're doing is beating ourselves up. That is such a low energy. What that does is it wraps you up inside yourself in overanalyzing everything to the point of now you've taken that thing that's happened to you, which very likely has some kind of wonderful thing that has occurred. I mean, this often happens when you have great things happening and then you try to turn it around into something that, oh wait, I didn't quite do it right, so it's not that wonderful. What is that about, right? So keep that in mind. This lowers the energy along the stream. And what you've done, okay, the metaphor they're showing me, okay, okay, they're going to use a lot of metaphors here with the rowboat down the stream. What they're showing me is that you anchored yourself. You've just thrown the anchor in the stream and you're sitting there. Oh, and you know what they're showing? Whew. Okay, so you've anchored yourself in that thought process of, I did something wrong. And then you churn and you churn and you churn. And then you take yourself down into this vortex is what they're showing. So the anchor holds you down. That's the heavy weight, right, of that energy of beating yourself up. And then it spins you down. And guess what? You're stuck. You get stuck. So that's one way we can ambush ourselves. And the thing is, with the metaphor they're showing me is we come out from the sides of the stream and we attack our own selves in the rowboat. It's us most of the time, okay? Which is why the awakening and ascension journey is such a personal journey. It's not about the outside world. It's about what we can change inside ourselves to allow ourselves to be the leaf flowing on the stream, to encounter what we encounter. Because the energy that we put forth toward the milestones and the things that come our way, it matters more than anything. Okay, so number 2. Wow, when you reach a milestone or something comes your way, you say, oh, I don't probably deserve this, so why would I get this? I don't deserve this. I'm not worthy. I've been told all my life I'm not worthy. Why me? Why do I get to experience this? Now, lots of times we'll do the why me when bad things happen, right? But lots of times these things that come our way are, they just said full of light and grace. And for some reason, when the good things come our way, we'll ambush ourselves and we'll say, ooh, wait a minute, I'm not deserved. Why me? When in reality, wouldn't it be wonderful to be able to say, oh, that beautiful thing came my way. I'm going to accept it with full grace. And yes, you're going to learn along the way, but at the same time, that's a totally different energy, right? It's an ease and grace energy rather than turning it again in on yourself and saying, I don't deserve this. Why me? Magical things don't happen to me. So then you start doing this questioning. And what you do is you present that energy out to the thing that has come to you, be it a person, a event, I don't know, what you name it, all right? It can be anything. And you can change that energy of the thing coming your way, particularly with people, right? We feel each other's energy, and as we go through this journey, we become much more sensitive to that. So if you meet somebody who's, in your same level of vibration, and you're putting out that energy, you can pretty much know that in some probably more subconscious way, they're picking that up. But the point in this is, Why are you asking yourself if you're deserved of something beautiful? But we do it all the time. So the reason I'm bringing these up is I want you to take a look at each of these and say, ooh, what's my pattern? And again, we all have a pattern. And to one degree or another, it's either really severe or it's like, ooh, I've really come a long way in that. But you're going to get hammered with these things as we wrap things up for this year. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to stop learning, but there's something important about this year to wrap this up, really start learning our lessons. And then again, we always have little things that come our way that continue to test us along the journey. And here's the thing, the metaphor they're giving for the I don't deserve this ambushing is you're in the rowboat and you try to go backwards. It's not for me. No, that's not for me. And sometimes that's rooted in fear, right? We're going to talk about that a little bit later. But the rowboat's going backwards and you're trying to turn around. Well, guess what? You're not going to be able to turn around, but you're going to have a heck of a time in struggling in trying to go backwards, all right? So that's what they're showing as the metaphor. So the third thing is we can ambush ourselves by saying, I've never been chosen. I'm not the chosen one. And then you can get, it's kind of a woe is me. Not that it's not rooted in some reality, but again, the human mind can turn things into mountains. Oh, they just said mountains that were originally molehills. True. Don't we all do that to one degree or another? Some of us are, more skilled at building mountains than molehills, but at the same time, there's all degrees. So again, I'm not the chosen one. I'm not the chosen one. Why would this come to me? I've never been selected. Things pass me by in my life. I never seem to capture them into my own life journey. Look at all what everybody else has. It's kind of a woe is me thing versus taking that action and saying, wait a minute, this is a pattern. I do this to myself. I'm making it worse and worse. And remember, your shadow side or this side of you is going to show up more in the awakening and ascension journey. It's even more profound than it ever was because first of all, you're more consciously aware. That's the whole idea of awakening, understanding your patterns and your habits and what you're doing to yourself and how you're spinning down into a vortex because of the things we do when we ambush ourselves from the side of the stream. So the metaphor they're giving to me on this one, not chosen, like I have not been selected. Why would I have this milestone show up for me? Why? You're on the shore. You're just on the shore. You're not even on the stream. You're just watching your life go by to one degree or another. So that's the metaphor. You're not participating because basically what's happening is you're not the chosen one. That's what you think. So you can't participate in going down the stream of your own life journey. And we do it all the time. Again, these are degrees. Some of us are really excellent at doing this, right? To ourselves in any of these to one degree or another. Others of us have really gotten past some of this. And so applaud yourself. Again, this is the life journey, all right? So don't stand on the shore. Look at yourself and see, why does it feel like I haven't been chosen? And that doesn't mean that's going to continue. But what you do is we put out energy over and over again. If you think of everything in terms of energetics, this is what you present then to the rest of your life journey. I'm not chosen. I'm not chosen. Woe is me. Woe is me. And you see it happen all the time. All right. And now that we're more consciously aware in our awakening journey, it's in our face. We have to deal with it. What are you going to do with it? This is the time to take that and really dig deep. Spend time with yourself, understanding these patterns. And challenge yourself to a new way of thinking because you understand this journey now. Before you were asleep, you just went through rote patterns. You don't have to do that anymore. Wake up. That's what this is about, right? Okay, number 4, you're stuck in a loop. It's the same story over and over again. Now, some of these are similar to each other, and they also overlap and they intertwine. So it doesn't mean you're just going to have one of these. You may have all of them. You may have one, then another one filters in. You're stuck in a loop. Oh, okay. So now they're showing me, okay, on the stream, in the rowboat, you're in a vortex. You got stuck, and you're paddling, but you're going in one direction. You're trying to get out of this vortex, and you're paddling in a circle. You're spinning, you're staying in the same place of energy, right? So you're stuck in the same loop, in the same pattern. Maybe it's relationships. You end one, you start another, and it's the same type of energy that person brings, same behavior patterns, the same kind of pattern that hasn't worked for you in the past, okay? That is spinning in the vortex. We ambush ourselves by continuing that pattern, maybe falling into a relationship too soon after you ended another one and haven't had time to spend on yourself, right? That's a great way to end up stuck in a loop. There's other things you can do stuck in a loop. It may be the way you work day to day in your job. What are you doing? Are you ambushing yourself? Working in the same way when there are a multitude of opportunities out there to be able to work in a different way. You can name many, many examples of being stuck in a loop, and a lot of these also fit into this one. All you do is spin. You don't go down the stream. You just keep repeating over and over again. And guess what? Yes, you're going to continue to learn, but you're going to miss a lot of your milestones along your journey. They will come at some point in time, I do firmly believe, but it might be with great pain and effort. Your higher self is always working to get you to move down the flow of your life journey, of your incarnation, so you can reach these milestones. And it's going to make it happen. But it can be at your expense, because what you've done is you put out this energy that has forced you to either churn around into a vortex, sit off on the sidelines, and you just make it more difficult. All of these things are examples of how we can ambush ourselves and not allow our higher self just let us flow down the stream. All right, so the fifth one is the I can't. This is very fear-rooted. I can't take chances. I can't take risks. I can't do that. I don't have the skill set. I can't. So it's very fear-rooted. And okay, so there's so the metaphor for this one is a little different than the one earlier. They're actually showing the boat turning the other way. Whereas the one that I had mentioned, which was that? I don't know, was it Not Deserved, I think, where they were trying to row backwards? This one, the whole boat's turned around and this person is just leaving. I can't. This is not for me. Okay, they're showing rapids too. So I can't do the rapids, no. So I turn around in my boat and I'm furious paddling. Guess what? You're furiously paddling the wrong way, but you're still going to go over the rapids. Don't you want to go over them forward rather than backward? I think so. All right, so the point is you're still going down this journey. You have a choice as to whether you ambush yourself or not. All right, the last one is if you don't have any boundaries with others or boundaries with things that come in your life, boundaries where you're not allowing just anything to happen to you and you're at the expense of what others want from you, you will not only get swirled around into the vortex, they're showing, the boat's going down. The boat sinks. Think about this a minute. That makes so much sense, because if you have no boundaries and everyone else is taking your time, everything is external to you. In other words, you haven't centered yourself in yourself as to what you need in your life for your own journey and have that balance. What happens oftentimes is our life gets defined by what others want from us, and then they just take a piece of us. And guess what? You drown. You can only handle so much of that. And particularly during these times, we are very much being forced to look deeply at how our lives are balanced. We actually end up, and I think many of you have experienced this, able to experience more, do more, see more when we have a greater balance in our personal life. And that's a real conundrum to humans. We think, no, I need to load myself up and do all these things. No, when you have balance, you have more opportunity for flow. Again, that goes back to the boulders, the pebbles, all the things you build up along the way, the dam you build up. One of them is you have no boundaries. You let everyone just eat you alive, okay? And then the definition of you is them. So look at your boundaries. Is that one of the situations that you can continue to grow in and not allow your boat and not allow yourself to drown in your boat along your incarnation journey? Because that'll hold you fast and down, and you're going to feel like you're drowning when all you are is defined by what others want from you. Balance is huge. I actually have a balance lesson in my life. And that's not one that's poking at me now, because I've done a really good job of that. A lot of my balance issues had to do with work. And I'm in a whole different situation now. So I trusted and I moved forward in that journey. And my balance lesson is honestly pretty complete in my estimation. Now, the patience lesson is not, right? That's why I got hammered. I'm getting hammered by that. And it's all coming at once. So just know that. And I hope that these 6 things have helped you kind of take a look at your own journey. And as we go through these next few months and as we go through the next years of our life, what is it we do to ambush ourselves? What do you do to come from the sideline of the stream and throw all the pebbles and the rocks and the stones and boulders in your own way, right? Because ultimately it is about us. This journey is about what we learn in ourselves and how we shift and change. We are the only ones that can do that. We are the only ones that can change our own journey, which is why this is such a self-discovery journey. I'm going to quickly mention certain reasons why these things are embedded in us. And I'm not going to go into detail, but I think you probably already understand this, but I didn't want to leave you without it. Experiences in this life can be the things that set us up for doing what we do to ourselves, the ambushing from the side of the stream. Number 1, religion and all the rules and the practices. Familial situations that have come and gone. But they still stick with us. Remember, we get ingrained in certain ways of being. So I want you to look at what's the root cause of this. Okay, where does it come from? So you can start delving into this and shifting and changing the way you feel and think. Cultural. Oh my gosh, so much is embedded in our culture. And then in our societies. And when I say societies, I'm talking, from a national level down to a literally a city or state or maybe even, where you went to school, whatever. All of these things are experiences in this life that can cause us to create patterns that do not serve us any longer. Whether they ever did or not is not what this video is about. But the last thing is past lives. Now, I say this over and over again. Not everybody knows their past lives. We all should, because it'd be very helpful to know the past lives that assist us in understanding this current incarnation. But we are clearing past lives, so you need to know that. A lot of what's happening now will start coming up from past lives. You don't need to have to identify them in a way of being able to say, oh, it's that life that did this. But when you have strange things coming out that you don't understand about yourself or your journey, physical situations, because we do have a lot of physical situations happen, or emotional situations, lean into it. Know that a lot of us are clearing that from past lives. And again, that's a little more difficult to unravel for you as an individual if you're not able to tap into your own past life, which is actually why I offer that as one of my services. But needless to say, aside from that, just know that these are rooted in things that have occurred in the past to us, and then we've created a pattern out of it of how we behave for ourselves. So find your patterns, go inside, know that this last 3 months is a real great opportunity for you to dig deep into this, and know that things are going to come your way. Sometimes multiple things over the course of the days and the weeks, and I'm a perfect example of that. So thank you for hanging in there with me. I'm so glad to be back. That was torturous, but I kind of think I passed the patience test. So with that, I'll leave you with purplerainhealing.com, where all of my services are listed. I would love to work with you. Distance energy healing, personal channeled messages, they're all out there. If you want to work with me, I would love to work with you. Again, thank you for joining me in this video, and I'll see you in the next one.